Yeah, well, Prof here. We're at the home office, and we've got another mouse to review. I probably smacked the mic, and that was probably very loud because we're using the Link Buds again. I haven't heard any complaints about their sound. If you do, put it down below. And compare it to previous Pixel 6 videos that use the internal mic. I think it does keep the audio consistent whether I'm, in front or behind the camera. But we've got the new Vaxee XE mouse, and you may or may not be able to tell by that label right there, but I got the orange one. What we need is a weapon. Orange mouse, orange knife, tactical keychains, Tuck XL. If you're wondering, this mouse came out. It's in a nice orange you'll see here. Both Squeers and Mooski were each down like, so you're getting an orange, right? Because they knew I was getting it already. But once they both saw the orange as well. Look at that. A proper cable that retains on the tie that retains on the wire. Here, I'll show you. Bam. That's how they're supposed to be, guys. See that? The part stays on the wire. And then this is here that you can use to wrap it up when you're done. That's exactly how these should be. Not the non-reusable, or that you kind of can with pain in the butt and see how nice and big that latches too. Perfect. Much longer cable tie as well. Like the Razor ones are maybe that long. You're supposed to tie it up. Uh, they there are ways to reuse the Razor ones, but they are a pain in the butt to do so. Another nice thing, this is just standard Type-C. Yes, it's got the wings on there. That's just helped stabilize it left to right. If you look at Logitech and a couple other brands, they do that as well with Microbe. This is just the Type-C variant. If you all think that that looks like that should be a wireless mouse, don't worry, Squares agrees. He is not buying it until they make it wireless. But I really do think with this removable cable, that's where they're going towards. So you can see that that's right up at the front there. I'm going to say no problem plugging in. Here's the cable I use. This is not a standard Type-C. Do I have a standard Type-C up here? We do. An orange one. Here. This is industry standard USB 4 Type-C cable made by Club 3D. So that's how big the connector should be, like the average connector. The ones on here, that's the 10-foot cable from Native Union. That's a bit bigger than spec. Okay, your standard plug, it does work, does snap in a little tight, just fits. It does fit though. This definitely fits, which is important because that is the standard, like the de facto certified USB size. Here is a Apple Type-C cable. These are generally thinner, so I have these little rubbery guys to help with string life. If you're wondering why I even have these, Apple cables are real expensive. There's a lot more clearance on there. It easily fits. But the reason why is back when I bought these Anker chargers, it did 100 watts over a Type-C, and they're kind of shit at doing it because the whole thing only does 100 watts. So realistically, you can only have one thing plugged in if you actually want to use it that way. the only cables available are these Apple ones that would do 100 watts, or technically they do like 99 or something. This will do it, but it's very short because it also does data. There's always been a 6-foot, like 6-foot limit. Apple has it. This is an 8-foot cable though. Originally it only did 60 watts. Now the new, much beefier one does 100. So we'll see if this fits here. That would be a negatory. I don't know if you guys can tell. This connector is just a little bit bigger and a little bit more squared off. So it just barely doesn't fit. But any standard Type C, like that Club 3D showed. I may even have here is the go-to. I consider that like original spec USB-C. These are the Pixel 1 and 2 Google cables. Yep, easily fits. There you go. So any standard Type-C cable or connector should fit. It's just the beefier one on the Native Union, my Native Union charge cables that do not. If you're wondering, on one of the sides, it even has a charge indicator LED. If you can see the little dot there, right there, that lights up. Oh, you can see right there. See? In this case, it would always be on because I have to use this adapter, which I think is basically just resistors that then allows it to charge the iPhone over 5 volt 2.4 up to that. There are newer ones that actually pass the Type-C through properly that I will be picking up shortly. But that's just to show you guys that if you need to use a cable in a pinch, you lose yours. Or once this goes wireless, which I have to assume how this is designed that it will. This is so fucking light. Feels good in hand, that's for sure. Oh, that orange, so good. What do you guys think on that? It's an ambi design. It's the XE. A lot of people say this is inspired by the FK Zoe design. From a looks perspective, I would say it would. I'd have to talk to Squeers though, as he's the only one I know that actually has an FK. That design really didn't appeal to me, as it was quite low, or felt that way to me at the time. This definitely fills up my palm the way I would expect. All right, as you can see, it's a bit brighter out. And it is a thing called work. So here's what we've got lined up. We have the Vaxee XE here, Ninjutso Katana wireless. I don't know if it's an unwired one. My Rival 3 wireless with grippy boys on it. Turn that off. Turn that off too. I've had a couple issues with this, guys. They're sending me a replacement. Basically, what'll happen is you'll just be using it, and the cursor will just fly to the top of the screen. It did that intermittently for months. I should have taken care of it sooner. As of the last week or so, it started to do down as well, less or more random. So like that up's happening more common now. Down's happening less common, or is now happening, and it's even less frequent than the up used to be. But then I've had left and right now too, and it just randomly will go, bah, bah, bah. And it's like on a vertical 4K monitor, it'll go from the middle to the top all the way. So other people have had issues with that. They've gotten replacements that solved it. The other thing I have to keep doing is, you see I can see the feet through here. You have to, their adhesive is bad or something. You have to keep pushing the foot down, otherwise the middle of it pulls away from the bottom of the mouse, and then the mouse feet aren't flat. They like bulge. With this guy, I might try to put the next set of feet over top here on the Rival 3 to see if I can get better liftoff. I've done that before with many other mice, especially with how much I've modified this thing already with 2.0s. The reason why these are here is I pop my hand on this thing, and it feels very similar actually to an Intellimos optical shape, which is what this Ninjutso Katana is based on. I felt at home right away, used it all work once I'd opened it. So it was a little bit less of an ass than the Intellimos optical. Like it slopes off sooner, whereas this carries into the hand to about here. This only goes to about there. Still, it feels very nice grip in the fingertips. Solid mouse feel. Really, really like the scroll wheel. And they said this is more of an office mouse slash gaming mouse. Now they increased because of the ergonomics. Now the shell is made. They actually increased the weight of the switches to combat misclicks. I, at least the first day using this, have had some misclicks. So I almost think they should have gone a little bit heavier. It feels really, really light. But oh, much prefer the mechanical scroll wheel. Yes, I know the optomechanical ones are both mechanically and everything else better, but I sometimes get with the optomechanical ones where you'll physically feel a click and it won't scroll. I never have felt that with a mechanical one if it's working properly. Look at those big mouse feet, even compared to the Ninjutso Katana, which has pretty big ones. These are massive. And the O there is for orange, guys. It is a bit of a fluorescent orange in this. I felt earlier in the video when I shot it in the early morning with less light, it looked a bit deeper of an orange. That's more correct. That is also a darker red. If you guys know the original Intellimos optical, very similar to that. So it's just looking a bit fluorescent. Here's a Rocat Burst Pro Air. Yeah, that's about the same as Ninjutsu Katana. What else we got? Death Adder V3 Pro. I still don't know if I like that shape. I've been using it. It lost its ass. Really. Like my hand cramp. The more I've used it I used it for a straight week at work. My hand is less cramped now. And I definitely see where people with certain play types prefer this over this because they're like, with this, I always felt like my hand was like sitting on top of it and I was like moving it around. Whereas this, I feel like I grip it and I point it. Yes, that is a palm style mouse. That's how that works. So ergonomically speaking, I think the V2 is actually better personally, especially on this right side here. I feel myself gripping too hard because there's no ass from my palm to palm. You know, there's nothing for it to get in there with. And it's very tall. It's taller than the old one. So it's just, I don't know if I like it. It feels bulkier too because it's bigger in the front. So I'll have to see my review on that guy. This is the V2. I like the chargey stand too. And I have all the different ones from this gen, so I can just toss them up there. Swap mode as needed. Here's the feet for the Gamesense MVP. This is a pretty average size. Like, if you look at that, you know, versus that, you know, Aerox 3 got a bit of an upgrade compared to the rival. And there's a SteelSeries Rival 106. Like, that's a much older style. And here is the Outset AX. Oh god, that thing feels ass heavy. Outset AX there. You know, So they definitely have developed the mouse feet quite a bit. Each time I think they're getting a bit better. That normally would have a ring on there, right there. They wanted me to test removing it to see if like it was causing an issue. Normally the ring wouldn't, but I have cats. They didn't know that, but like stuff can catch around the lip here, and imagine that right around the sensor, it can cause it to go crazy. Apparently, also their wireless tech, because of how lightweight it is, does not have great range, so it could be related to that. But mouse pads here, USB hub, it's plugged into right there. Like that's a foot, maybe. There's King Arthur. Hey, King Arthur, how are you? And he got outside. And it took like 4 hours to come in. Yeah, what do you have to say about that? He says I want more pets. Yeah? Look at that guy. To be a cat. Look at that. To be a kitty cat. So let's unplug this guy. Supposedly the cable is the same material that they used in previous ones. It's just now removable. It seems very similar. It's kind of like the shoelace style. I prefer that over the like really, really, really lightweight, like Ninjutso Katana's magnet cable there. Feels like I'm gonna break that thing. All right, so I'll give you a nice 360 here of the new Vaxee XE here. But to me, it does definitely seem FK inspired. So it's definitely a fingertip forward grip. I palm it just fine though. And I too, Squares is like, I can't wait for a wireless variant. Me too, because that feels like it's meant to be. The guts aren't there yet, but nice clicky side clicks, nice main clicks. Like I said, so far they feel a little bit light. I bump both of them. They did even increase the weight on the weight of the switch. This top one is not DPI. That top button, okay, so on the bottom we have DPI, pulling rate, and liftoff. By default, it's like 400 DPI, I think, or 800, 1000 pulling rate, and 8 liftoff. That's pretty common. 8, that doesn't really cause issues. You can try going down to 2, but you might get some weird stuff depending on your mouse pad. Like soft mouse pads, if you squish it into it, that can make it closer, stuff like that. Some people prefer 500 hertz polling. I really don't know anybody who would drop that nowadays. You might have to do 125 for compatibility with like a really older, really shitty computer. But and it's 400, 800, 1600, 3200. Those are really the only DPIs you need, in my opinion. But yeah, I landed on this thing right away. It's very nice. Now here, I would say this back part of my knuckles here, I forget what you want to call it, pad part of your hand right here, that touches very well. My actual palm, inside of the palm here, does not touch. It palm touches at the base, like around the heel of your hand, sort of. But it fits my grip quite well, actually. And that's why I said, like, this reminded me of something, right off the top of my head, right out of the rip there. I'm like, what does it remind me of? And it's got a lot of feeling like the Intel Mouth Optical or this Ninjutso Katana. Now, this fills out the palm more. I prefer that, but this felt real nice right out of the gate there. Even though these look like very different, like this is a very smoothed over egg-shaped mouse, and this is definitely more angular. You got some more grooves cut in it. To my hand, they feel, minus the part where the palm is not filled out here because it slopes quicker. Very similar. We've got plugged in into the hub over there, and we've got on my SkyPad version 2 custom. I'm waiting for him to just start doing custom version 3s, and then they have a smaller one now, which means I might be able to get one for my keyboard tray over there. But ideally, I'd like to do custom ones if I can. So like I said, fits my grip like immediately. I just popped my hand on it and it felt good, which you always gotta like. The other button that I did not mention is this top one that does page down in this mode. Now you can change this super easily, and I can see why they made this more of a productivity mice, and I hope this carries over. I don't know how many mice have done page down before. I know Zai's mouse originally did F11, but apparently they didn't realize that that meant full screen in most things. Page down is much smarter. Home end might also work. Page down is useful on its own though as well, because you can just scroll down the page, obviously. How you adjust it in this one is you hold back and forward and click, and then you can switch it to that. Okay, in mode 2, press it. Control Shift S for screenshot. Now, obviously, that only works if you don't have that remapped, because now, as of Windows 11, which then got backported to Windows 10, you can remap Control Shift S just to go to print screen. So, if you want to use that function, I would leave it as Control Shift S. Or maybe you have a thing like Green Shot that you still also want to use, and then that takes over print screen button. Then if you hold again, you get 2 dots. And that, if we go over here, is emoji panel. And I would say that this is just as accessible as DPI switching, whatever, because you just hold these 2 buttons, press that one. Yeah, if you want to know a bunch more, like a direct breakdown of all the features, why they did stuff, Vaxee has a very good video on their YouTube. There you go, Vaxee mouse for playing work. And they just break it down, simple, straightforward, why they did things, etc. And there's no need for me to break down every piece of this and why, because they do that perfectly. You know, it's not this marketing hype video. It's just here's what we did, why we did it. The one thing I do miss, and this probably is because of the orange, it does look like the white is glossy. They started, well, this one it's hard to tell, but this is, the clicks are textured on the outset here. And if you look on the, sadly, even though I have a ton of mice here, none of those are Vaxee mice. Or are they? Bum bum bum! Okay, here's a Zykin NP01S, which is the small version. And what do we got over here? Oh, Outset AX original. Dusty, because it doesn't have a box yet. But if you see on these, they have a textured finish on the main clicks. I really appreciate that. Now I know because these are painted, at least the orange one is, and you can see when you pop off the connector there that it's painted, because where there's bare plastic on the side, it's not orange. But I really wish there was some texturing, and I could see why. Here's my Rival 106, which is like, that's my main bay. Actually a taller mouse than the XE. Much more similar to the wheel mouse optical, which this Gamesense MVP Wireless is based on. To be truthful, the Aerox 3, very similar, a little bit shorter. Same thing with the Burst Pro. This is like very much based on the wheel mouse optical shape. This is just a bit taller and palmy, but if you notice, I put rubber on the left and right clicks because I tend to like slip, I sweat,
So that is the one thing I do like. These are grooved quite nicely, but I do miss the texturing there. So I'm gonna give this a shot for work all next week, and at home. What's annoying is it's wired, so I can't just grab a dongle. I have to plug and unplug the cable. Now it is compatible, as I showed earlier, with other USB-C cables, so I could do that for work or something. But yeah, I really want to see if I can get used to this. It does feel really, really good, and it would be, if they can make this into a wireless mouse, which, I mean, it's basically set up to do that. It's really what it seems like. They just got to work on the guts. So let me know what you guys thought about this kind of like intro review, etc. For me, mice are always about the shape. As long as it's, I mean, heck, my favorite one is Arrival 106. That is a budget mouse with cheap guts, and it never even really made it to the U.S. Really should have, because it's amazing shape, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm quite happy, and I had to get the orange one. For those of you that saw them release this and were like, "Yep, props getting the orange one." Dang straight I am. I got the orange one. I missed the first batch. Reached out, and I think it was delivered within a week. So I don't know if that color, see the orange there, that might be because they didn't fully. I'm guessing because the LED doesn't go all the way through the plastic. I don't feel a hole there. So it's probably a white LED, and then the paint that goes over what's left of the plastic colors it, which is kind of a cool take on that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. As always, you can hit me up over on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at TheProfosist, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Peace.